Geek Gamers here with Waterdeep, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, as well as a bit of a cold. But as the box is here and there doesn't seem to be an unboxing, I want to give you guys a look inside. And a thanks to the designer, Kevin Wilson, for helping me get a copy of this from WizKids. Look quickly at the back of the box here. You can see the component list, and I'm not going to read through it. I'm going to try to conserve my voice, but you can pause here if you want to see the component list and everything that's laid out. Plagued by dreams of madness, journey to Undermountain and join in the adventure of a lifetime. This will be my second game in this series. I have Ravenloft, which I did not obtain new, so the packaging on all of these is new to me, and I guess Ravenloft was not WizKids anyway, so we'll get this shrink off here and come back and show you what's inside. We've got a lot of empty space initially. We have a Ziploc bag with the Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I guess, figure reference sheet here, single-sided. And, of course, the rulebook. I was reading on BGG this whole discussion of the rulebook and are there problems with it and everything, and it interested me because, to me, and these will look familiar to you if you've seen and played any games in the series, to me this is not terribly a complicated game, and I was surprised at the hue and cry, or maybe I shouldn't have been surprised at the hue and cry about things missing from the rulebook or complexities of the rulebook or whatever. My understanding is that the system itself essentially is the same, and it certainly can be integrated with other games in the system. The rulebook comes in so there is a campaign tracking area here. There's 14 pages. The last page is a discussion of the campaign and I guess a fact on the adventure system itself. And then we have the adventure book, which is, let's see, 15 pages plus the back with a discussion of, if this is your first game, use the power card suggested below for your hero. Once you're more familiar, you can choose your own power card, so there's giving you a setup. I probably won't go through this so much. It will explain how you can upgrade between adventures, how the adventures work, etc. There is both a dungeon setting and a cavern setting. Dungeon tiles never mix with the cavern tiles. And very thick stack of cards, which we will get to in a moment. And of course, what everybody wants to see is the minis. So, looks like we have a bunch of individually wrapped ones, and excuse me, might as well go for the biggest ones. This is clearly the set that is not pre-painted, but I'll give you a look at that as best as possible. Let's say who it is on the back. The Death Tyrant. Oh, and that's nice. It tells you quite easily how many to look for in the box. A Beholder zombie. That's pretty cool. And another one. So, they're friends. For this early morning filming, I decided need a little bit of light here. This is this fellow. I like that he's possibly left-handed, being a lefty myself, and just show you this up here in the light as well. Doesn't necessarily do justice to the lighter sculpt. This is Muriel. And let's see what else we have that is the purple color. That looks like maybe it's missing a base to fix that. Okay. Well, that's gray ooze in purple. Yes, here's our sorcerer. Human sorcerer. Battle master. I need to fix that. A gnome. A gnome inquisitive. Like that guy. And elf cleric. And paladin. As I am not a mini painter, I'm not commenting on the nature of the sculpts, but it looks, to my totally untrained eye, it looks like something fun to paint with pretty much detail, but I have, I'll freely admit, I have no qualifications to assess any of that. This is let's see what that is. Some sort of a hag. I like that one. Looks pretty nice to me. A leader, veteran leader. And let's take a look at this fellow here. Scaladar. Pretty cool. Of course, we've got our D20 and quite a few very heavy stack of punch outs. And I'll get this open for you in a moment. Just to look at it here. Oh, it has conveniently a little bit ripped. They are smooth. A very dark color palette. Again, familiar if you've played any game in this system before. They're shiny. They're not like, they don't feel like the ones I have from Ravenloft, which, as I said, is a different production character, or a villain card probably. The Undead. I believe we saw her earlier. So she's a level 5 villain, and you can see pretty thick. Some special effect tokens, a font of magic, bulwark, path to the grave, and some other villain cards, as well as a hero card. Well, all the hero cards, but here's one of them. The Trifling Fighter. Give you a look at these stats. First level and second level. Some more dungeon tiles. I like that false life token. It's cool. Condition cards. Some trap tiles or tokens. The monster wound token. And the rest. So quite a few things to punch out. I don't recall what it said on the back of the box in terms of how many tiles, but as mentioned, it did say there's 2 different types of tiles, and they don't want you to mix them up. Little modifier here to what happens to traps on this tile, for example. Oh, here's an abandoned study. One thing, excuse me, one thing that I will say about these tiles, as opposed to at least the Ravenloft ones I have, there's a little more dimensionality in them. The Ravenloft ones are pretty plain, and I think many of the tiles in this series are pretty plain. There's at least a little bit more here. I never quite understood the decision for them to be so plain, but I guess I partially understand that in terms of what they're going for. Finally, we have this very thick stack of cards, which we will open up. All the cards are, wow, those are really stuck together quite a lot. You're going to have to practically peel these apart, and these cards will look familiar to you if you've played the game at all, following the standard design for example, the cleric cards here. I'm definitely not going to go through and show you everything. I probably won't show you even most of them, but we'll just take a quick look here at the cleric cards. He's got some expert powers as well. And there's the fighter, tiefling. Obviously, these tend to be mixed up. The paladin, I think I showed you him in the sculpt. And rogue. Just take a look at that card he's got. Again, standard fare for this game. I'm going to sleeve them because that's what I do. Again, hard to know how they compare to the rest of the quality in the series across the board. They seem a little easier to deal with in terms of shuffling them and moving through them than the ones I have from Ravenloft, because they have more of a glossy feel. Here are some events. Again, I don't really want to go through this and ruin it by showing you everything in here, but we will simply show you perhaps one enemy card. I think this was possibly a sculpt I showed. An infested thug, a human enemy. And again, as familiar to those of you who know this series. I guess the series breeds familiarity, and then obviously the ability to mix it up with other games in the series, as they say. I'm looking forward to getting this out on the table. This is a series I enjoy for its simplicity, and I say that not in a pejorative way, but I think that for somebody who plays more complicated games, this is a nice thing to be able to get out very easily and be up to speed on the rules pretty quickly. So there is a look inside the latest edition of the D&D board game franchise, this one from Kevin Wilson and WizKids.